Hey, what's up, family? I'm glad you're here. I'm Chris, and this is Real Bible Stories. We're not just telling Bible stories around here, we're diving into real moments where God steps in and everything changes. Today, we're stepping into the story of Jesus and his friend Lazarus. It's a story about waiting through grief and loss, and wondering why God doesn't show up the way we expect him to. God's ways don't always make sense to us in the moment. And sometimes that's when things feel the hardest. And in those moments, he's right there, stepping into our pain and calling us into new life. Lazarus didn't just get sick and recover. He suffered. His sisters watched. And Jesus waited. Not because he didn't care, but because something deeper was about to be revealed. Sometimes God doesn't move the way we want him to, and he allows us to walk through things we don't fully understand. And in this story, we see who Jesus really is, the resurrection and the life. And there goes my grandson Saint. I guess he decided this is his time. All right, family, let's get into it.
There was a man named Lazarus. He lived in Bethany with his sisters, Mary and Martha. When Jesus was in the area, he stayed in their home. This wasn't just another place to Jesus. This was a place of friendship, more like family. With Mary, with Martha, with Lazarus. Over time, they had grown close. Lazarus became seriously ill. The kind of sickness that drains strength day by day, with constant pain and weariness. These were the people who loved him, and they were watching him suffer, unable to ease his pain. Fearing what lay ahead, they spoke in low voices, wondering what more they could do, searching for anything that might ease his pain. And they all knew there was only one they could send for. Martha rose from beside her brother. She stepped toward the doorway. She paused, as if gathering her courage. Then she called for a messenger. She steadied her voice and spoke a desperate, urgent plea.
Tell him, Lord, the one you love is sick.
The messenger left at once. He didn't waste a moment. He hurried down the road, carrying the weight of their plea with urgency in every step. They sent word to Jesus. They had experienced his compassion and witnessed his power. They sent word about the one he loved. They believed that if Jesus knew Lazarus, his friend, was this sick, he would come without delay. They had seen what he could do. They had watched him heal others. So why wouldn't he come quickly to heal his dear friend? From Bethany, a messenger hurried through the streets, carrying urgent news, until at last he stood before Jesus.
Rabbi, I've come from Bethany. Martha and Mary sent me. They asked that I find you as quickly as I could. The one you love is sick.
When Jesus heard this, he turned to those around him and said,
This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it.
Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. He wasn't being cold or uncaring. He loved them deeply. And even though he loved them, he stayed where he was 2 more days. Jesus did not rush to Bethany immediately. And that delay was not indifference. It was intentional. It was purposeful. And though the sisters could not see it yet, God was already working within that silence. 2 days had passed. Jesus was with his disciples. Then he turned his attention back to Bethany, just as he had said, so that the Son of God would be glorified. After 2 days, Jesus said to his disciples,
Let us go back to Judea.
Rabbi, a short while ago they tried to stone you, and yet you are going back?
Are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world's light. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light.
The disciples heard his words, but this was more than a lesson about daylight. Jesus was speaking about divine timing. His life was not governed by threat, nor shortened by human anger. He walked in the light of his Father's will, and he knew that no one could take his life until he laid it down at the appointed time. The danger was real, but fear did not determine his steps. Obedience did. The disciples were concerned for him and for their own lives. They believed in him, but belief did not erase fear. Following Jesus, even when he was doing good, now came with real risk, even the risk of their lives. Then Jesus spoke again.
Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him.
Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better.
They misunderstood his words. So Jesus spoke plainly.
Lazarus is dead. And for your sake, I'm glad I wasn't there. So that you may believe.
Those words were difficult to hear. Not because Jesus lacked compassion, but because his purpose was larger than they understood. He understood the pain Lazarus was going through and the deep sorrow his loved ones felt. He was fully aware that what was about to happen would deepen their belief in who he truly was. Sometimes faith grows most deeply, not when sorrow is prevented, but when God brings good out of it and reveals his glory through it. Jesus had done many miracles before this, but their belief in him still needed to grow. They were learning that belief in Jesus was more than seeing miracles. It meant trusting who he said he was. And then Thomas spoke up.
Let us also go, that we may die with him.
The disciples understood the risk, but they chose to follow him anyway. They still didn't understand what lay ahead. And so, the journey back to Judea began. The journey back to Judea ended in Bethany. The village was only a short distance from Jerusalem, and many had already come to comfort the sisters. When Jesus arrived in Bethany, people were already mourning. Lazarus had been in the tomb for 4 days. Lazarus was gone. His house and the whole village was filled with grief. Martha heard that Jesus was coming, and she went out to meet him. Mary stayed at home. One sister moved toward him, the other remained inside the house. Grief had rooted her there.
Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died.
This was not accusation. It was wounded faith. She believed he could have healed Lazarus. They had sent word to him. She trusted his power, but she did not understand why he had not come sooner, or why he had allowed 4 days to pass.
But even now, I know that God will give you whatever you ask.
Your brother will rise again.
I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day.
Martha believed in resurrection. She believed God would raise the dead, but she believed it belonged to the future, not to that afternoon.
I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this?
Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world.
Martha believed, but she did not yet understand what Jesus meant. Belief can be real and still not see the whole picture. In moments of pain, it is not always clear what God is doing, but His purposes are not limited to what we can see. Martha returned to the house. She found Mary surrounded by mourners. The air inside was thick with sorrow. She leaned in close to her sister and spoke quietly.
The teacher is here, and he is asking for you.
When Mary heard this, she got up quickly. She didn't pause to compose herself. She moved, like something inside her couldn't stay still any longer. They followed her. In that village, grief was not left to the family alone. Mourners came, and they mourned with them. She pressed through the crowd toward him. She made her way straight to Jesus. She reached him, and the grief she had been holding broke loose. She let her body give way beneath the weight of it. She collapsed before Jesus, her body finally surrendering to what her heart had been carrying.
Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died.
Mary had carried those words for days. They had echoed through the house, through the silence, through the long hours beside the tomb. She wasn't accusing him. She was hurting, overwhelmed with grief. She knew his love, but she did not understand his delay. She fell at his feet with nothing left to protect. The question still hung in the air, and Jesus stood there with her. Mary's words hung in the air. No one rushed to fill the silence. Grief filled the space around them. Everyone could feel how heavy the moment had become. And Jesus felt it too. He didn't rush the moment. Mary wasn't the only one grieving. These were not strangers mourning from a distance. This was family, friends, a community that had shared meals together, walked roads together, laughed together. Jesus deeply loved Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. He saw all of their tears. He didn't ignore or brush them aside. He stood with them in their grief. It weighed on him. Jesus was deeply moved and troubled.
Where have you laid him?
Come and see, Lord, where we have laid him.
Jesus knew what he was about to do. He knew Lazarus would walk out of that tomb. But in that moment, the people he loved were still immersed in grief. He didn't rush past their sorrow. He entered it, and Jesus wept.
See how he loved him?
Couldn't he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?
Even in this moment, not everyone understood what they were seeing. Some saw compassion. Others still wrestled with doubt about Jesus and his power. And after he wept, he turned toward the tomb. Just outside the village, the tomb came into view. A cave cut into stone. A heavy rock sealed across its entrance. Lazarus had been laid to rest here, where they had said their goodbyes, where they had closed the stone in finality, and believed Lazarus' story was finished. Now Jesus, once more, deeply moved, came to the tomb. He spoke to the crowd.
Take away the stone.
But Lord, by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days.
Martha believed in him. She had confessed that he was the Messiah. She had heard him say that he was the resurrection and the life, and she had already wrapped her heart around the loss. She had made peace with the tomb, and she believed in a future resurrection, where she would see her brother again. But she was not expecting the stone to be moved, or his body to be exposed. And now Jesus was asking her to trust him, in front of the tomb.
Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?
So they took away the stone. Then Jesus lifted his eyes toward heaven, and he spoke to his Father.
Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me. But I said this for the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me.
The stone had been moved. The tomb stood open. No one spoke. Every eye fixed on Jesus. The silence before him was heavy with expectation. They had seen him weep. They had heard him pray. But no one knew what he would do next. Grief still lingered in the air, but now it was mixed with something else, something no one could yet explain. Then Jesus cried out with a loud command,
Lazarus, come out!
And at his command, the silence broke, and death had to let go. Light broke through the darkness, and darkness could not overcome it. And the man who had been dead stood up, his eyes opened, blurred at first. Then he saw him, Jesus. He, Lazarus, was alive, and there was no pain, and the ones he loved were there. They were stunned, overwhelmed, amazed at what they were seeing. Gasps and loud cries broke the silence.
Alive!
There were tears of joy. They couldn't contain their emotion. The noise of the crowd filled the air.
Jesus.
Lazarus was alive, but still bound in grave clothes. And Jesus spoke once more.
Take off the grave clothes and let him go.
He told them this so they could be a part of the miracle, to work with him, unbinding him and helping set him free. That day, grief met glory, and delay gave way to revelation. Jesus revealed more than power. He revealed who he is. Not only a healer, not only a teacher, but the resurrection and the life. And the one who stood before the tomb proved that death does not have the final word. Because when Jesus speaks, everything must obey him.
All right, family, another beautiful story. We just walked through something real. Lazarus was sick. His sisters were desperate, heartbroken. They sent word to Jesus, and Jesus waited. And I know that's the tough part. He didn't rush because he already knew how the story would end. His timing is never off. He's always right on time. And even when we don't understand it, he's still working things out for our good because we love him. He wasn't moved by the pressure of what people expected him to do. Jesus was moved by purpose, so they could see and know God in a way they had never known before. Let that sink in. Please don't miss that. And maybe you're in a season of waiting right now. Maybe it's healing. Maybe it's a financial breakthrough that hasn't come yet. Maybe it's a relationship that feels like it's just gone. Maybe you've been praying and it feels like God isn't answering. Whatever you're going through right now, this story is for you because Jesus showed up for all of them. For Lazarus, he raised him from the dead. For Martha, he met her grief with truth. For Mary, he stood in her pain and wept with her. For the people watching, he revealed his glory so there will be no doubt about who he is. He reveals his love and faithfulness so that no matter what we're facing, we can depend on him. He will take care of us. And we saw that in this story. And here's what I love about how it ended. Jesus didn't just raise Lazarus and walk away. He looked at the people standing there and said, "Take off the grave clothes, let him go." He invited them into the miracle. And he's still doing that today. Calling people out of what was meant to hold them and calling us to be the hands that help someone else get free. So wherever you are right now, hold on. His delay is not his denial. His silence is not his absence. He's always there. The same power that raised Lazarus is still working in your life, even in the waiting. And he is not finished with your story. That's the hope we hold on to. I want to take a moment and pray with you. Father, thank you. Thank you that you're not distant from our pain, that you're not surprised by what we're going through, and that you're always present and always on time. I'm lifting up every person watching this, the ones who are waiting, grieving, crying out to you and wondering if you hear them. Remind them that you do, Father. Remind them that what feels like the end is sometimes just the setup for your glory. Speak into the tombs in their lives. Call out what only you can raise, and help them trust you, even when they can't see what you're doing. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, that's it for today. Thank you all for watching. If this blessed you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next story, and share it with somebody else who needs to hear it. And while you're at it, drop a like on the video and let us know in the comments what stood out to you. We've got more stories coming. And now I'm going to hand it over to my granddaughter, Serenity.
This is Real Bible Stories. God bless you. See you next time.